Hello everyone. Hi Melanie, how are you doing? To get to see if I'm all set up here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hi Karina, how are you doing? I'm not sure if that's Becca, it might be. It's hard to tell what you guys is who you are if I don't know your little Twitter name. You don't have your name in there. So if you want to just say your name sometime in the comment, that'd be great. Anyway, it's great to have you guys here, and tonight we're going to do another weight loss. Hi Mary, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Just kind of enjoying life today. Hi Lenore from Moose Jaw. Where's Moose Jaw? Is that the name of a town? Great to have everybody here, and thanks for inviting others to the broadcast, Melanie. Meredith from California, good to see you. And so, Saskatchewan, a Canadian. That's nice to have a Canadian here. Well, tonight, everyone, we're going to do some weight loss questions. So what I'm hoping to do, I actually didn't prepare anything. So I'm hoping to just answer questions. So if you guys have any questions, if you want to answer questions, all you do is you tap on the bottom of the screen. And once you tap on the bottom of the screen, a keyboard should come up. Is that right, everybody? Anybody who knows how to do that? Okay, how do we get and or keep motivation for weight loss? That's a toughie. And I think it's also a toughie depending on how much weight you have to lose. Because sometimes if you have a bunch of weight to lose, then you can feel like it's overwhelming, and that might make you, seems like it takes forever because you have so much weight to lose. So that can be hard. But then if you only have 10 pounds to lose, it's easy to say, oh, I don't really, it's not that much. I'm good enough as is. So then we don't have the motivation to lose. So the best way I've found, the best motivation I've found is to make it more about the spiritual side of things rather than the physical weight loss. So if I make weight loss about learning how to break free from the control of food or learning how to follow my boundaries, I'll be more likely to persevere with it than if I make it about how to lose weight. Does that make sense? The other thing too is if you make it about breaking free from the control of food, then whenever you break your boundaries and you eat way too much, you won't be as quickly to go into beat yourself up mode. And you know what happens? What happens when we go into beat yourself up mode? We just eat like crazy, right? So, at least for me, that's what helped the most. Just make it about the spiritual side of the issue. Okay, and self-condemnation. Yes, self-condemnation is huge. And when we start beating ourselves up, then that's when we really start to eat. But here's the thing, guys. If that's something that is hard for us, it's not surprising when we break our boundaries. So we should try and stay away from that self-condemnation because, we're not naturally good at that. We haven't experienced a lot of success with it. So it's pretty natural that sometimes we'll break our boundaries. So the best thing to do is just renew our minds whenever we break our boundaries and try to just say, okay, this isn't surprising. I'm just going to put in the effort. I'll renew my mind. Does anybody have any other questions? Did you find out how to do the questions? You just click down at the bottom. Yeah, I hate that feeling of condemnation too. Just click on that little screen on the bottom and then type in your question. And now I'm going to be doing, while I'm waiting for any questions, I'm going to be doing weight loss scopes during the week from Tuesday to Friday. And we'll be doing it at 12 noon. Oh, thanks, Kriana. The box at the bottom says say something. That's where you can type things in and then just hit enter. I had a hard time figuring this out when I first started doing Periscope. It seems like, and I still have that problem, if I try to hit share, I'll accidentally go out of the broadcast. Anyway, it takes a while to get the hang of it. So just, just do your best. But on Tuesday to Friday at 12 o'clock Mountain Time, that's 1 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, then I'll be having a regular weight loss subject and I'll be having tips and points. But I thought just on Mondays, I want to see how it goes if I can answer any questions. Okay, so tell us more about the renewing of the mind. Romans 12:2 tells us we're transformed by the renewing of the mind. So that works no matter if we're trying to break habits, we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to let go of negative emotions. So the thing is, we believe lies about food that make us want to eat more than is good for us. And that's why we struggle with weight loss. So if we change the way we think, we won't actually want to overeat, if that makes sense. So what we normally try and do with weight loss is we just try to control our behavior. And so let's say I'm going to eat 1,000 calories a day for 3 weeks. Okay. I'm going to have a hard time sticking to that. If I think, say, for example, that I should be able to eat what I want when I want, or if I think I deserve to eat all this great food in front of me, or if I think this is going to make me feel better, then all those thoughts are going to drive me to eat. They're going to give me the desire to eat. So what I have to do, instead of trying to control my behavior, I have to go back to the beginning. That's right. Karina just said we can't control our behavior. Go back to the beginning and change our thoughts. So here's an example. We think more is better, right? Or, right, if we punish ourselves. So if I think more is better, and why would I think more is better? Probably because I've seen a million commercials that tell me more is better, right? So if I think more is better, I'm not going to want just one piece of rhubarb pie. I'm going to want 2 pieces of rhubarb pie, right? But the truth is, at some point, more is not better. Okay, 5 pieces of rhubarb pie, none of us are going to want to eat 5 pieces of rhubarb pie. So it's far better to stop back in healthy territory if we're going to stop at some point anyway. So can you guys hear my chair squeaking? I'm sitting in a chair and I keep hearing it squeaking. I don't know if you guys can hear it squeaking. So anyway, I can either try to force myself not to eat that second piece of rhubarb pie, or I can renew my mind. I can really think about it and think, okay, is more really better? And even while I'm doing that, what I could do is every bite I take, hi Elaine, how are you doing? Every bite I take of that rhubarb pie, I could rate it. Okay, how good is this on a scale 1 to 10? What's the first bite going to be on a scale 1 to 10? Think it's going to be a 10? I'd say yes, 10, 15, that's funny. That's right. So that first bite's going to be definitely a 10, right? Second bite, probably a 10, right? At what point would it start getting down to an 8, a 7 or an 8? What would you guys think? For me, I feel like I could eat a whole piece of rhubarb pie. It'd be at a 9 or a 10 for the whole piece. Once I start eating that second piece, yeah, when you're getting satisfied. Oh, that's interesting. So for Karina, for you on the third bite, you would be down to a 7 or 8. Okay, so that point's going to be different for each of us. But it might be a good idea to think, okay, if it's not good for you, if it's really high calorie, what's worth eating? Is it worth eating when it's only a 7 or 8, right? Wow, a couple of you guys think third bite. That's surprising. So it'd be helpful to start changing that thought in our minds that more is better. Because the truth is, a small amount, if we really want to go for the taste and the taste experience, a small amount is better. It's hard to truly enjoy large quantities of food. So do you see how that's a whole cultural thing we'd have to take off? Okay, I never can get myself to stop. And most of us don't think about it, though. That's very true. A small amount seems crazy. Okay, so that's where the renewing of the mind comes in. Because what we normally do is we just eat. Or we just do whatever. We don't really think through things in life. And if you think through things in one eating occasion, if you can't make yourself renew your mind beforehand, you can renew your mind afterwards. So if you think it through, then the next time you'll be less likely to do it. Okay, why have a half cup of ice cream when I can have a gallon? And I've had many people criticize me for small amounts. That's true. So we kind of have to eat based on what's right for us and not what other people think is right for us. Because we're going to get, just like with anything that has to do with people pleasing, we're going to get people saying we should eat more. We're going to get people saying we should eat less. Isn't that the way it works with all people pleasing sorts of things? So we have to think, okay, what do I think? Because I'm the one eating it, not somebody else. Jealous for being able to be controlled with your eating. Yeah, that's true. We do sometimes get jealous of people who don't struggle with the same temptations as we do. We just have to remember that everybody struggles with different temptations. So, and one question was, how do you decide to eat a half cup or half gallon? You know what would be interesting? It'd be interesting to get a piece of paper and draw a line across the top and then a line down. So one vertical, one horizontal. And then at the top on the one column, put a half cup of ice cream, and the other one put a half gallon of ice cream. And then write down the advantages of eating each, right? And my guess is by the time you wrote down all the advantages, you might rather have the half cup of ice cream. Because how many advantages would be in the half cup column? Probably a whole bunch, right? And how many would be in the half gallon column? Probably one, being able to eat as much as you want, right? Because you won't even enjoy the whole half gallon. You probably only enjoy the first cup or so. Okay, I want to go back to one thing that was said, though, about how we can control what we eat. I would say not everyone can control what they eat. When I was struggling with weight, when food was controlling me, I couldn't control what I ate. Food controlled me. And so the way I got to the point where I was in control of food was through the renewing of the mind. And if you think about it, self-control is a gift of the Spirit, right? And when we become Christians, we don't get all those gifts at once. God doesn't just throw them into us a full measure. It's something that we grow in. Each year we should have more fruit, right? So if you look at that whole list of fruit of the Spirit, some of them might come naturally to you, right? And some people's self-control comes natural. But other ones aren't so natural. So if we're in the not very natural self-control category, it's not true that we just always have self-control. All we have to do is exercise it. Yeah, I'd say it's not true that only certain people can do it. But I would say some people can do it in their own strength, and other people can only do it through the renewing of the mind, through God's strength. Does that make sense? Let's say, here's another example. Let's say if you're a person who doesn't get easily annoyed. Okay, you might be able to be around somebody who's kind of annoying and just not let it bother you, right? Whereas somebody who naturally gets annoyed, it's going to drive them crazy. So we all have different weaknesses. Yeah, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, okay? But whatever weakness it is, especially if it's one of those ones that are weak to you, those are the things you can't do in your own strength, and you have to go to God for help. And what I've noticed out there is sometimes we kind of spiritualize that. I can't even think of what it is. Sometimes we say, okay, everybody agrees you can't do it in your own strength, right? Kind of. But you'll hear people say, well, just, God's already given this power. All you have to do is accept it. Or God's already given you the victory. All you need to do is walk in it. Okay, to me, those are just spiritual things, spiritual ways of saying the same thing. We can do it in our own strength. Because each of those things that we say, it kind of depends on us just doing it, right? And if it's something we're weak in, if it's a habit that has control over us, we can't just do it. We don't have strength in that area. So that's why we have to fight with spiritual weapons. We have to renew our minds. And we have to memorize God's word in our hearts so we can use it when we're tempted. So it's kind of like a hand-in-hand walking with God through it. And for some people, that struggle will be with weight loss. For other people, it might be judgment. For some people, it might be laziness. For some people, it might be anger, right? for all of us is probably insecurity. I don't know anybody who hasn't struggled with insecurity. So one of the ways we go to God for help is to talk it over with Him, to take off the lies, to put on the truth, and we grow closer to Him as we work through that habit with Him. Does that make sense? Yeah, insecurity is big, and no matter what, I mean, it just seems like it's big in all arenas. It's big with weight loss, it's big with writing, it's just big with life in general. And it's one of those things that we just have to work through with God. Another thing we have to work through with God. Anybody have any other questions or any other things? How's everybody been doing on their weight loss and their following the boundaries? I don't know though. I wish we could have people who struggle spend time with thin eaters, was one of the comments. I'm not sure. Do you guys think that would help if you're a person who struggles with weight loss to spend time with thin eaters? Like alcoholics can spend time with people who are on the wagon. Yeah, I could see it being really helpful to spend time with people who have struggled with the problem, who have gotten over it. So like if alcoholics were spending time with people who struggled with the alcoholic problem and then were getting over it, or eating problems, if we spent time with somebody who'd really struggled with it and gained victory over it. Do you get defeated, Karina, when you're around people who have never struggled, or when you're around, or do you even get defeated when you're around people who have struggled and overcome it? That's what you're here for. Hey, that's right, guys. I'm somebody who struggled and overcome it. Oh, that's interesting. Your friend is thin and really has to work on it. And our culture encourages overeating. That's so true. And that's what makes it hard about this, is that everywhere we go, there's food all over the place. In fact, I remember going to, okay, only when they haven't struggled, I see. Yeah, Karina. So it's hard to be around people who haven't ever struggled with that problem. But you know what? There's not that many people who haven't struggled with the eating problem. Probably the ones who have are in the norm. But I remember going to a women's conference a year ago, and the tables were just covered with candy. I just can't believe all the candy in the middle of each table. And then I've been to women's retreats for the whole weekend. We had their, retreats to the church. The whole weekend was spent eating. It just makes it kind of hard, right? Because there's temptation all around. So, does anybody know about how long we've been going? I don't have a watch or anything, so it's hard to tell. I can't tell for sure how many people are here. Yes, it gets associated with fun. That's right. Because you feel like it's kind of fun to just go out and eat whatever you want. But if you think about it, what happens when we eat whatever we want? Is it really fun? Oh, thanks, Karina, 18 minutes. So is it really fun, or do we start feeling uncomfortable? Do we go home feeling, physically uncomfortable? Do we go home feeling depressed, discouraged? I think I have to overeat to have fun. Yeah, I think that is a lie. Because I think we can actually have more fun if we're eating in control. Right, we feel gross, we feel stuffed, we feel guilty. There's all that self-condemnation. None of those things are fun. So we have to change the way we think about it. And think of it just as, is this really truly fun? Or have I just been fed a basket of goods? Like if you think back to maybe the early 1900s, people kind of had the idea that you reward yourself with the dessert after dinner, right? I still remember when I was in high school, the first time I had pie for breakfast. It was the first time I ever even had a sweet for breakfast in my whole life. And I thought it was just a fun experience. I thought I was being so cool by having pie for breakfast. But my mom would never have let us eat all those things for breakfast. And that was back in an era when we didn't think that it was good just to eat as much as you want. And it was more of an era of sacrifice. I think all these commercials and then this whole idea that we should be able to do what we want, when we want, and just do whatever we feel like doing, I think that's kind of changed our attitudes towards food, and that's hurt us. That's why we struggle so much more. One of the reasons we struggle so much more with weight loss than people did like 100 years ago. Not to mention the fact that there's all those fast food restaurants. We're in the car. We're driving. Ice cream is easier to get. I have 2 cartons downstairs in my fridge right now. So at any rate, we've got to work on changing those thoughts. Yeah, we are more active. Yeah, a lot of people who live in countries where they walk all over the place, they don't struggle with it so much because they're more active. And even just getting outside, it kind of gets you in a different mindset with eating all the time. So those are just a few things. And on these 12 o'clock noon periscopes, they're going to be more formulated, where I'll just have a set topic. I'll have a few tips, and they'll probably be pretty short. I think maybe 10 minutes or so, maybe even shorter. So I hope you guys will come in. Thanks, Melanie. Thanks for coming. So they'll be about, so 12 o'clock noon Mountain Time, and I'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So hopefully, guys, just a little pick you up to help get you through the day and encourage you to follow the boundaries the rest of the day. So we'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming in. And I hope, what time is it, guys? You only have how long till bedtime? Couple more hours. So let's see if we can all try to follow our boundaries until we go to sleep. I haven't had supper yet, so I'm still lucky I get to go have supper. Okay, thanks so much for coming, all of you. It was really great seeing you, Lenore, Elaine, and all you others that I don't know your names yet. Anyway, thanks a lot. Have a nice night. I always forget how to turn this thing off. I think I remembered. We'll see you guys.